It is a fitting coincidence that this Sunday, the 8th Sunday of Matthew, falls on the same day as the Forefeast of the falling asleep of the Virgin Mary, because the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000 and the miracle of Panagia in her life and her ministry, her service to God and to all of us, the Church. The lesson is, in a sense, one and the same. From the dawn of time, or at the very least the dawn of human thought, there have been those who divide good and evil according to terms of the spiritual and the material. And that which is spiritual, which is ethereal, which is distant from the earth and material things, is understood to be good, and that which is heavy and material and dirty is understood to be evil. In this way of thinking, which I want to clarify, is not the Christian approach, but it is a common understanding in this world. But in this way of thinking, we, because we are physical, because we are material, are dirty and low and filthy and evil. And the only way for us to be cleansed and purified is to leave this body. And therefore, in this way of thinking, death, although it is painful, is a good and a blessed thing. Now, parts of this, they feel common to what we have always believed. But the entire outlook is false, because the Christian faith teaches that this physical world is the creation of God, and therefore it is created very good. And even in its fall, simply because it exists, it retains the active involvement and blessing of God. That is the first point. The second point, to drive it home, God has not abandoned this world in its fall. He has entered into it. He has put himself into his creation. This is why he is there in the dome, because he comes down and embraces all of us and this world, this creation in which we live, and he sanctifies it. He does so by means of the Virgin Mary, who offers herself as the vessel of his coming into this world, who is the throne of the Most High God, who is the ark that was foretold, who is all of these images and realities. She is the first fruits of the sanctification of the world, because she is the first human being to bear Christ in his love and his glory and his holiness within herself. And even as we give her into death, as we commemorate and celebrate her falling asleep, it is not an occasion for grief, because even in her death, Christ sanctifies and makes whole and perfects what is broken. So in her death, we confess the resurrection. In her brokenness, we confess and see her wholeness restored again. This is why Christ is present in the icon of the Chimesis. If you have time afterwards, either stand here and look up into the choir loft where the icon is, or even go up and look at it close up. It is good to reflect upon. In this world, there is all the grief of a funeral, but unseen on the background of blue, showing the spiritual, the supersubstantial reality, Christ is present, receiving the soul of his mother. and blessing her death, making it into an entrance into everlasting life. To sum up, the Virgin Mary is the anchor point of our faith, of our hope, of our confidence that God has become a human being, because she is his mother. She bore him, she nursed him, she cared for him. He took our humanity from her and made her and it and all of us holy. The same point is communicated in a smaller way by this feeding of the 5,000. Because the Lord does not say to those who have followed him out into the wilderness, as he said himself to Satan when he was tempted, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. This is true, but man does live by bread. So those who have followed him into the wilderness, who have received his word with joy, he cares for their physical needs as well, in a very clear way, showing that Christians do not hold that the spiritual is good and the material is bad, because the Lord blesses the material things, the bread and the fish, and he gives it to material people to sustain their material physical needs. And he calls them out of a only material life into bringing the two together. Because we as human beings are not only material, nor are we only spiritual. We are both. And Christ has sanctified us in that union. And it is for this reason that we believe not only in an afterlife in heaven above, in a spiritual life, but we confess the resurrection. We believe that our spiritual element, our soul, will be reunited with a perfected and healed and wholesome body, and that our physical nature will be made holy. This is the point of the chimesis of the Theotokos. This is the point of the feeding of the 5,000. This is indeed the fundamental point of the Christian faith. Christ is in our midst. God is with us. And all creation is changed by his presence. This is why we are here today. We offer ourselves to God. We offer the bread and wine as vessels of that offering of our life and all that we are. We offer these things to God, and he offers himself to us and changes the gifts that we have offered and changes us, and through us he changes the world. In that mind, let us stand and continue towards Holy Communion.